All right, YouTube, what's up, y'all? It's Kyle Rose, the Ham TV here, bringing you actual YouTube content. I know I've been plugging it on my stream. Time to do something. So I had a little session with my buddy John, and he's very new to the format still. And we did a draft together, but it was more me just telling him what to take. And I said, this just isn't going to work right now, So let's go through some of the cards, at least the commons and uncommons. We started doing that a little bit, and inevitably, what it led me to see was, look, we need to do this by archetype. So we did about half of them, specifically the ones I think are the better archetypes, I guess. And I just went over the commons and uncommons with him, and talk about which ones are better, where they're better at, which archetypes, kind of how to prioritize them. So that he said that was real helpful. I don't know how much he's going to remember from it. It was a lot of information, but he seems to think that it helped a lot. Tried to record that, but my computer was messing up. It would have been pretty nice to record that though. But anyways, we have a draft here. It's probably best of one. I haven't played much best of one, so I'm going to talk about it like it's best of three, as far as the draft picks go. And again, he's new to this. I previewed it a little bit. It was real late at night a couple nights ago when I looked at it. I don't remember everything. I do find it funny though that after our little session, John finds his way straight into a deck we didn't discuss. So that was nice. So let's just get started here. We can listen to what he says and what I think about it, I reckon.
All right. First draft after having a short session with Kyle Rose where he explained to me that everything I thought was wrong. So,
I try to run him on like 1.5 speed or something. I don't know how to do that. See if that works. Because I'm going to have to pause to talk about stuff anyhow. Let me do it now while he's still got some time here in this pack. This is a fine first pick. It's probably what I would take. I don't think it's an awesome card. As I explained to John, it's beneficial for me to first pick a blue card a lot of the times. I mean, Artifact's the same thing. You can put it in any deck. This one in particular. But I like all the blue color pairs. Whereas if I were to take a red card, I really only like red blue and red black. So, I would be looking at more like the Royal Mage, which I consider better than the Diviner, or this. I would probably take the Artifact. I think if you're like more of the red color pairs, GOP would be a decent first pick, or the Fury Land, either one. If you like the landfall, red, green, aggro, this is maybe a little better. I don't know. It's worse than like red, black party stuff, but this is fine. Start there.
I was looking at that red 3/1.
I'm trying to find a spot where I can pause it where he doesn't have some of the cards big.
That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good.
So, yeah, it's fairly weakish pack. I think the best two cards are the Takedown and the Celebrant. I would take the Takedown here. That would be my pick, but if you want to go another way, I guess you could. There's really not a whole lot in this pack, in my opinion.
That seems pretty good.
So he is going to select this Horn Beetle. There was definitely a time when I thought the Horn Beetle wasn't even good in a deck it should be good in. I've come up on it a bit from that. I have seen it go off. It has beaten me some games. It's also been a 3, 4 for 5 some of the time, which is awful. I certainly wouldn't want to just jump right into it. I mean, this does have technically a kicker of 7, and it maybe gets a +1/+1 if they have a modal card in play, but just doesn't really synergize with Horn Beetle at all. You know, the pack was weak, but in my mind, this isn't some great payoff that you want to take like before you already have stuff to go with it. And I could kind of take it or leave it most of the time. You know, unless you have like a Verazol or something like that that's just like sick amount of counters. This thing doesn't exactly go crazy a lot of the time, in my opinion.
Yeah, that just seems good.
Like, I guess a comparative card, like in theory, would be like the 2/3 white uncommon that when you gain life for the first time in a turn, you get a 1/1 counter, or I mean, a 1/1 creature, and you can give a cleric lifelink for 3 mana. Like, that card to me is a card that you can take second or third type pick and look to build around a little bit more. I think the options to build around it more are better, and I think the effect is a little bit better as well, and it cost 4 instead of 5. Like, to me, this is like definitely a tier, way few tiers down from a card like that. Which it seems like they're both uncommons. They both kind of like maybe they were thought to be somewhat equal, but I don't believe that they are.
As long as it works the way I think it works. Like, so if I kick something, then it sets that off, right?
Yeah, I totally understand. He has never played
That's a
with
good
this card,
card.
I reckon, and it's one of
But
his first ones. We didn't talk
I
about the
know that's a
green
great
cards
card,
at
a great
all.
comment, but I'm going to
He
stick
already
with
took
this.
one. He must think it's good. I can understand taking a second one. I would certainly take Into the Royal out of this pack, but he's going to take the second one of those.
I know that's a great
And
card.
then from there, we can kind of just like stop talking about what could have been, I guess. You know, he's obviously looking to play green. Yeah, this pack's definitely interesting. Rabid Bite is really solid. I like it in green a lot. To the point where I think I actually like it more than a Deadly Alliance here. He already has 3 expensive cards that aren't party affiliated. So if it was a choice between like just these two, I think I would take Rabid Bite for sure. Feed the Swarm, I'm not sure. I like it more than the Alliance. I'm sure of that. But I'm not sure if I like it more than Rabid Bite here. These are highly incentivized to go black, green black, which he seems to realize, even though I believe he takes the Fledgling here, which is definitely the best card in the pack. I guess it's close to me. I don't draft this deck a lot, but Rabid Bite, Feed, and Fledgling all seem reasonable to me. I just wish that he doesn't just give up on white instantly.
I haven't read these other things, but I can't imagine something that's better than that. Well, that's good too. I mean, it works. I don't know if it's good.
That's nothing special.
So, because I think green, these cards probably pair the best with blue or black. Yeah, shit. I think I want Feed the Swarm.
It's a tough pick.
Or the other green card. Color man.
That's the wrong green card to want if you wanted a green card.
Going back, I wouldn't take this because I think I wanted to pair a green with either black or blue.
I don't think you want to pair Horn Beetles with blue. Green blue's naturally
I just know this card, the caliber of this card is just very high.
And it doesn't have much counter synergy. I don't think the Horn Beetle goes.
This is good. I know this is good. Like, you know, playable or whatever.
Yeah, I love Pack Beast, which is in the pack, but with the Horn Beetles, he doesn't have tribal stuff. He definitely wants this too. I think that's what he takes.
That seems pretty good too, though.
I would hope so. Actually, you know what? He might take that land.
So that's like
I think it's an easy gnarly colony. Yeah, he's gonna double back on that land, which I do not like at all, especially when he.
I'm liking the way this green stuff is looking. That's a good. That combos well with my stuff. The problem.
In general, I like the Visionary more than the Hedron, but I like the Hedron with this stuff here. It seems pretty good.
The problem is this is a 5-drop or whatever. You know what I mean, Vern?
I wouldn't consider anything else. This puts a counter, but who cares?
So
he wants that.
I think ramp will be good in this deck, right? Generic 3/3. I don't know about that.
I find the generic 3/3 plays out pretty well in this format. Just for what it's worth. You know, it's okay. It's interesting to me. I mean, the bat's nice. You can play it early or late, and it gives counters. Also, though, like the cleric here, he looks nice. Like you're gonna have this Hedron you can sack later on, or if you make token, you can sack it or whatever. Plays well with the rebirth. Probably pick up some stuff. You know, the bat doesn't play well with the rebirth, but the bat does play well with the card that gets 2 creatures back if you kick it, stuff like that. Play it early, block with it, get it back, kick it. Cleric also plays real well with that. So, I don't have a huge. I would probably take the cleric, but that's because there's a limited number of bats I want to play in the deck anyways. But I wouldn't hate it if you took the bat. You can
Creature
just
or
take one of those.
planeswalker.
Not that.
I like that. That was my green-black thing I'm trying to do.
I don't want any of this to make the deck. I'd probably take Nectar Pot. Hope to not ever play it unless I really needed it too. If there is best of 3, it can be a decent sideboard though against the aggro decks. They have a lot of 2/1s. You could take that bad removal spell. You could end up splashing green, but you would think.
I don't think that matters too much at all. So
I like the Fury Land here.
I guess I'll take the green card.
He takes the green card, huh? I would take the 3/3 for 3. Why do you? I like this card.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. So he's. I know what he's doing. He's I'm a counters deck. This does things with counters. This card is okay. It can blow people out. It feels real bad when they get you with it, but it's not great. I really like this guy, even though he already has these guys. It's tough to play this Horn Beetle on 5. Sometimes it doesn't stabilize, and you don't want to block with it. This thing stabilizes real well. I want to have 1 or 2 in my green-black decks. Just so nice to play and block, get it back. It's really good. I would prefer this over the Hunger, but I mean the Hunger's a card he'll probably play. So I mean it's not terrible.
That seems pretty decent, right?
I guess I'm saying like a little bit like lower on the synergy in green black. It's not like busted synergy. It's just like kind of makes your cards a little bit better. And still want the better cards. The Rabid Bite being in this pack's insane. Rabid Bite is really good. It's really important in the green decks, I think.
I just need that. I don't know how that's
the
still
only
around.
green
That's
decks I
just
win with have
right?
Rabid Bite. You got that.
It feels like green was pretty
good.
open.
Green
I
is wide.
I'm certainly making huge mistakes, but I mean, I feel okay in the cards that I have. I mean,
now, even though I mentioned wanting this card, I would still always take the Gnarled Colony over it. I mean, he's like a split card. He's your good 2-drop or 5-drop with counters. I would take this 5/4 over the Canopy Baloth in this deck, though. I think it's more what the green-black deck's trying to do. Hopefully, he'll take the Colony here.
I'm very, very new to this, so.
That card's not great at all, ever.
That's cool. I don't know. Maybe I just grabbed a card that I would know I'd play, so that was probably not.
Vine Gecko for sure. He's got that colony. You can get more of that stuff. You don't need, he's got a bat, you don't need too much to make the Gecko nice.
Okay.
If it ever just gets 1 counter and makes 1 thing cheaper, it's a great card. 3/3 for 2 that gave you a mana 1 time. You do it
Definitely some stuff I don't want to play over there.
Early, middle game.
I could start thinking about blue as well.
No, do not think about blue. I think he's just heard like blue-green is good or something. I don't think that blue goes with any of these cards. Doesn't that all go with these Horn Beetles? Like the Royal Mage that you're looking at, if you're green-blue, what are you getting back? Your 1 Rabid Bite? Like, to me, this doesn't set up to go blue-green in the slightest. If I was looking for another color if black was cut, I might be looking at white. I feel like maybe that would have some removal and like landfall-y type stuff. get counters on and such, I would not be looking for blue. But I mean, this rogue land is great. That'd be my pick. Again, the Disciple's absolutely fine. Good card in this deck. And if I were to take something that wasn't in those, green or black, it would be the Journey to Oblivion. I don't know why he wants this Royal Mage. I don't think he takes it. I guess because the Vine Gecko says kicker, he just thinks that that's green-blue. That could be why.
This.
He goes ahead and takes the Rogue. That's good. This should be a Rabid Bite here. Happily. Excited. Needs removal. I don't think we went over artifacts, so that one's definitely a little hard to guess.
I would play this thing. I kind of like that, but I'm just gonna take the Rabid Bite
in a deck that can't roll up.
Which I probably could have tried to wheel. I mean, I got this second to last.
You shouldn't wheel it.
Creature you control deals damage equal to its power. So that's just a good fight. I mean, not even a fight spell. Better than a fight spell.
It's great. So sometimes, depending on curve, I could see this being close. I do think with this many 2-drops, even though they're not party creatures, and the fact that he's picked up 2 Rabid Bites, that I like the Vanquish here. Over the the one that does three cats. He's got hidden. I can't see it. Oh, they're both Vanquishes. Sorry, I like Deadly Alliance, not Vanquish. I misspoke. Due to the, I don't think it's too close. Not to mention he's got 4 4s and 3 4s that block these 3 power creatures unless they're flyers. This most of the time I'm gonna want Deadly Alliance, but there could be sometimes if you had, a bunch of those 5/4 guys and real clunky deck that I'd want the Vanquish.
Got some cheaper stuff. I might take the more expensive one.
Exactly. He says the same exact thing. That's great.
Yeah, I'm interested in. I was interested in splashing blue, or keeping my eyes open to blue. But if I just have a bunch of black and green playables, then that seems pretty good. Yeah, that's the move right there.
Probably take a Kite Sail, but I mean, if it's best of one, he's probably not going to main deck it. So I think he takes his land for value, whatever.
Nothing I was going to play, so I just took a card that
value
is the card for standard.
A lot of surprising things here, really. The Vial's great in Clerics. It shouldn't be here this late. Someone should be drafting Clerics. And maybe there was one better card in the pack for Clerics than Vial. Who knows? Roosted Drakes is insane to still be here. No one would have to be drafting blue for that to still be here. And then this Constrictor, I don't like it much, but he doesn't have many 3-drops, and got several bigger things with counters, and it comes in with 2 counters. It's one of the best things with the Horn Beetle because it's cheap and it gives you 2 1/1s. So I don't even think he takes it, which is weird because it seems like he just grabs anything that says counters on it in general. But yeah, I would like the Constrictor in this deck way more than just a generic 3/3. I think it'd be pretty good here. He does. Oh, nope, he didn't. He tried to, I think. Ran out of time on it. A lot of good stuff here. I would take the 5/4. I don't think you want to splash. So the land fetcher is not great, and I don't think you're super aggressive. He goes with the Dreadworm. I do not like that pick over the 5/4 that gains 3 life.
Yep, we'll just go ahead and take like that.
I like Spare Supplies as a card. I don't know how much I like in this particular deck. It's fine to pick there. I'll take the Death Touch creature. It gives a counter, but it's a pretty bad one. Wow, that's crazy. Weird draft. You got Roosted Drakes late. You got Vials late. You got removal of black and green late. I don't know. Everybody's fighting for red.
So that's out of the question.
What we got here? Not a great pack.
Party got a bunch of 2s.
Yeah, I got a bunch of 2s and not partying well. And the drain, the gain life could help, but the chip damage doesn't much matter. I keep talking about this thing. Super early to take it. And Could have had it over this Dreadworm that I have no desire to have in the deck. And I'd probably just take another bat here. But I could see Ascetic. It's just a little early to take it. Not a great pack here for him. The bat, he does have a lot of twos, but you don't have to consider the bat a two necessarily.
Okay, I guess I'll take the thing with kicker.
Okay.
These are not
Here
great
I like
packs.
Subtle Strike by a good deal. It's not a great card, but it plays real well in this deck. It's good to put a counter on the bat. A lot of this, it's just really good here, I think. I definitely would not pick that over Subtle Strike. Looks like he's gonna pick the Honey.
All my stuff has counter. I mean, that's gonna be just a pretty decent, probably an unplayable card in a lot of decks. It'd be a pretty decent card in my deck, is what it feels like.
This is a awful looking pack for him. Stomper seems kind of like overkill. He's got bats and stuff he can do on 6, and really only one land to bounce back. Already has a Highborn Vampire. It's a pitiful 4-drop in this deck. I mean, I might just take another Brute. I don't think he's ever going to put Relic Axe in. I can't even think of a scenario where if it was best of 3 where you'd want to sideboard it. You know, take the Brute and hope not to have to play it, I guess. Oh.
I think I'll just take this generic 3 drop.
Yeah, this one's close. I think it's probably got to be the Blood Beckoning. I think it's a card he needs. You know, with all the 2s that you can trade off early and get back later and kick them. I would really like the Visionary. That's the other option. Just smooth. He needs 4s, just so smooth, makes you hit that 5th land drops. Real good, but I think I'd have to take my first Blood Beckoning. You know, everything else is a far cry away from those 2 cards. I mean, that'd be fine. He'd play it, but like,
I'm gonna take Blood Beckoning. I was also looking at this and this, so hopefully one of these will.
Yeah, we spoke about Mind Drain. I mean, I don't think this is the best deck for it, but the reason Mind Drain is so good, in my opinion, in this format, it's a number of things. A of all, landfall. Your opponents often have landfall. Their lands have value later in the game. Or earlier in the game, it's, you know, difficult decision to discard your lands or your spells. So there's landfall. It's better against decks with landfall. Kicker. You often want to get up to like 6 mana to kick these things. It's good against decks with kicker. Modal double face cards. If people draw a hand, you know, with a mix of lands and these things, they're often playing their basics out first. When you discard the 2 cards, you know, you're more likely to get cards that actually matter. You know, the mill a card, the gain a life, deal damage, it's all just kind of a bonus. You know, I basically, you know, unless I'm rogues or something and want to make sure they're getting cards in their yard, I basically play it if I want the discard effect or not. Find that decks that are grindy, which this one really isn't that grindy. It's a little grindy. It's more, you know, it's not trading as much is what I mean. It's going to grind a while because it's not going to kill you fast, but it's more like building out a board and like, you know, maybe chumping a bit and flying over with these bats and stuff like that. Where like you're blanking all their 2/2s anyways. So like if they discard a 2/2 in a land, like it's not that big of a deal. Whereas like if you're like a, you know, black red deck or whatever that like has a bunch of 2/2s itself, people are trading with those, you have a lot of cheap removal, you know, 1 for 1 here and there. It's a great piece. But in this deck, I don't like it for those reasons, basically. And it's subtle. It's hard for some people to tell. People always ask me, why do you like Mind Drain in this deck and not in the other? You know, that's kind of the best way I can describe it. I can just kind of look at the deck and you know, like, you got a bunch of 4/4s and stuff. Like, it's going to be a little worse. Like, you know, you're blanking so much of their stuff anyways.
Wheel, just good value.
You just want to get resources that have value. fine pick here. This is like my least favorite of these, almost the Predation.
Yep,
It
seems
doesn't
pretty easy pick to me.
at all. Another Roosted Drakes is crazy. That card's not what he needs. Yeah, I mean, there's not much here. I guess the Arbor Mage is fine. Probably could be convinced to play it over a Brood. It's not great, but probably more upside than a Brute. Another Vine Gecko is great. That is awesome. Don't do the Scythe
Oh
Cat.
man, that's a good card too.
No!
That's better.
Yes.
I think. Could be wrong.
I like the second Beckoning here. Constrictor is good, though. He doesn't have one. He should have
Man, do I
had
have
the
a lot
other
of twos?
one.
I like the Blood
He
Beckoning.
ran out of time. Finally gets that. Let's hope it makes the main deck. Subtle Strike, please. And play it.
Probably won't play that.
No! You would play it. It's good.
All right.
No, not all right. Let's get that Dreadworm out of here because all your other fives are better.
Well, at least in my opinion, I put a coherent deck together that has a theme. I like that I played to the board. Yeah, so for me, I felt like I did good in this draft. For me. So we'll see what Kyle thinks.
Again, well, I'll get to something with a picture on it. Again, like we spoke about some archetypes. Green-black was not one of them. So I think you did really good, taking that into consideration. Some of the cards, like I just happen to think this 5-4 plays out better than it looks. Obviously, it doesn't look like something you should be dancing a jig to pick and all happy about, I do think Subtle Strike's a lot better than you were giving it credit for. A few other cards, I don't remember. There wasn't anything too crazy. It was all picks that were like, this 5-drop versus that one, or this and that kind of stuff. So let's watch you build this thing, but just off the top of my head, Dreadworm looks real bad. I might cut this Cleric. I know it does some stuff with counters, but it's a 4-5 for 5 or whatever. It's not great. I think this deck's probably too slow for a blood price. I don't like the vampires. Muck Lord, I don't know. It's a bad card. I would definitely play the Arbor Mage. And then I don't know if you need to cut a 3 or like if you'd cut a Brood or a Muck Lord. I'm probably only playing one of these Hungers. It's difficult to set up. It's also not great when you have 2 Blood Beckonings. It's going to get worse. Like, your creature's dying is okay. Adventure Awaits a card I don't mind, but it's slow. I don't think you need it. And you don't have any high power, like high value creatures to go find. Like, finding your Horn Beetle is not exactly exciting. Survivors are fine. Don't like the Nectar Pot much. I don't know how many cards I've named here. I don't know how many modal cards you have. Why won't it go back up on the scroll? Okay.
Now let's build this mofo. So we got to make some cuts.
Yeah, 36 cards. He's got a lot of cards here. So I think he cut most of the stuff I talk about. And still maybe have to make some like, tougher cuts.
That's not in. No chance. Spell lands I'm going to have to put over there, I guess.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't like the
the spell land thing is coming in handy. To me, that felt like I was very on point with taking the spell lands when they were available, but not forcing it.
Kind of like the Mind Drain, the kind of like almost the opposite of it. The artifact, you draw a card for 2 mana. He just put it in the sideboard. I can't think of the name right now. I don't want to rewind. If you have landfall, or if you're trying to kick cards, it's much better in those decks. And 2 mana is an easy investment early, and you can usually find time to spend the 2 later. So it's a little easier to cast than, say, like a Blood Price. Because it's an investment, 2 and 2. Whereas in the later game, it'll be a little worse coming to play tapped, and you can't get the 2 cards right away. But I like the card. I just don't think you can always toss it into a deck if you need a card to play. This deck doesn't need a card to play. I don't think it fits real well.
That's obviously, this is such a noob new way of doing things. So when I turn out to be totally wrong about all this, just take it with a grain of salt. I have not done these drafts yet, so 33. It's really like 29. So roughly 5 to 7 cuts. I've heard that guy's not very good. That's literally as generic as it could get. That guy's probably fine. That's probably fine. Optional. Optional. This thing has kicker, but am I ever going to kick it?
It's a good card. Play it. And those Dauntless Survivors are definitely optional. And the 2 drops.
This is best of 1 also.
Well, there you go. It's best of 1. I figured it probably was. I just haven't played much best of 1, so I don't know how to, like... I could guess on the differences in the cards. Obviously, the cheaper cards, the more streamlined cards are going to be better. And the card draw stuff is going to be worse.
It's probably fine.
For instance, I think, like, the modal lands are going to be way worse in best of 1, too. If you already get a smooth hand.
Could be totally off.
And in particular, this Palaka Predation, I think, is just going to basically unplayable in best of 1. Which is sad, but you don't have time to cast this thing. Games are over so fast. I'd honestly just play a swamp over it. But, you know, I don't fault him for playing it, but I'd be shocked if I ended up wanting to play it in best of 1. How fast it is. Paying 3 not to affect the board. Or having my land come in tapped. Yeah. The other ones I like.
So say I want 18 lands in my deck. That's 4 spell lands. So
I don't know that. Yeah, I would still play this. I think he needs at least 1 more 3-drop, maybe 2. I would cut at least 1 Dauntless Survivor, and I would be cutting one of these Hungers. So yeah, I like to cut the Hunger, the Survivor. That's 2. Get in this guy and a 3-drop, you know, whichever Mucklord or here. The Mucklord's not the worst in this. They get bats and stuff. It might even be better than the 3/3. So that leaves you with 24. You know, I wouldn't play the Predation. I'm sure he's going to, which is fine. With 4 DFCs, he probably wants to play like 15 basics. So like 19 total lands, kind of. So that's how I would want to see it built. Like, he gets to add 1 more card, basically.
14 actual lands.
He wants 14 actual lands. I'd rather have 15, but...
So that means I could put 2 more cards back in.
Hand smoother in best of 1.
If my brain is working right, which it's almost certainly not. I've been getting up at 3 in the morning, so... Because I have a job now, so... Getting up, going to the gym at 4:30. Getting to work at 7:15. Staying until 4. Why that is relevant for anybody watching this video, I do not know. A lot of twos. Do I really want these? Yes, how much stuff with kicker do I have? Okay, so yeah, I think that's the amount of lands that I want. I know this guy's not good, but he does go with this theme, and when he dies later on, he helps this. So potential. Probably not. I already have other ways to prevent flooding. I have this thing to get cards back to generate value. This guy is potential for my top end. I mean, he makes all my land draws good in my opinion. So I can just send this
the 2
fatty in. Not a chance. I would be okay with those guys. No chance. Okay, so
I like to see the Mucklord get in there, actually. Pretty happy with that one.
I just don't like having cards that don't synergize, like...
So we're going to be pretty close on how we would build this.
What just happened there? Oops.
I think he's going to add 1 more card. Oh. He said he wanted...
I even want this.
He's talking about the Dreadworm. He obviously wants the Alliance.
think I do. My deck is not fast. What do these other things do? Yeah, okay. See, the good thing about my curve, in my opinion, is I can always just play 2/2s on 4, so that's why I'm not worried about this slot. My top end stuff is what it is. So I'm looking, I guess, do I want this,
that
this,
get in
or
with
this?
the beckonings and such, and the 2
I
rabbit
think I want that.
bites.
We'll do this. So pretty even breakdown.
All right, so we're going to assume this is what he goes with. Let's get it back to where we can see it. I much prefer the Ascetic to the Dreadworm. I mean, they're both 5/4s for 5. I just think that the Gain 3 is better than the Landfall trigger. Simple enough. I would also, I said I wanted to cut a Hunger and a Survivor. And I would want to play a basic land and a Brute, is what I would do. And really, the Brute versus Survivor, it can be close. I just think he's got enough 2s where he might as well toss a Brute in over one of them. The Hunger can be awkward. I don't really want 2 of them in the deck, especially with the Malachar Rebirth and 2 Beckonings. So that's where I'm coming from on that. I just prefer one more land. You know, maybe I'm wrong because of the hand smoother. And I would likely just play a swamp instead of the predation. But I could be wrong about that too.
14 lands. Probably 7 and 7, right?
I would think you want 8 green with 3 black DFCs.
So this leaves me with 8 green sources. And 7.
I would definitely want another forest.
Nope, I need one more green to make them even.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, you know, if it was me, this would be a swamp, and I'd even have one more forest. So I'd be playing 9, 7, and these 3. But you know, should be fine either way.
Okay, so now I have green. 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, thank you for the deck building.
All right, there's his draft. There's my commentary on it. Seems like it was a little longer than I would have liked this to be, but hopefully there's some good information here. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a copy of the games. If I do, I will do a game breakdown, but this is fun for me, you know. Those are a little bit more bleh. So thanks for checking it out. See you guys later.